Could it be? For me, your man, Louie T, here on behalf of Bleacher Report, talking about the Washington Commanders 53-man roster and reacting to their initial. I have to make sure I say this as clear and as concisely as possible. Their initial 53-man roster. This is not going to be the way that it looks come week one. Probably won't be the way it looks by week's end. Waiver claims are accepted tomorrow starting at noon. Washington has the second highest waiver claim mark in the NFL behind Carolina. So I would imagine that there'll be a few waiver claims put in for some players that have been cut around the league. I've got my eye on a couple. I'll talk about that at another time, date and time on another show. However, probably on my channel tonight. But I'll tell you this much. The official roster has not come out yet. We're still waiting. Washington has really moved slowly, which is good. They've moved methodically through this process. And so I don't anticipate us getting the full 53-man roster list for another 30 minutes or so as they continue to work the phones, try to get trades. And really the 4 o'clock deadline is passed, but the names are still trickling out very slowly for the Commanders. But what we're going to do is we're going to go with the information that we have and kind of try to piece together what we think this thing ultimately looks like. Okay. We may be off by, a player or two, but it's all good, right? We just go with what we have. So with that said, I got a poll question for you later on because there are some names that we already know have been let go. There were some names that were boundied about in some trade conversation. So we'll talk about all those things, but let's go through the list of players and what I gave you yesterday, what I thought would happen, and we'll go off of that, and then we'll just continue to mosey on. So quarterbacks, we know that this was going to be the case. Now, what I will say is we have not heard Jeff Driscoll has been released yet. That has not happened. Trace McSorley has been released. Sam Hartman has been released. Still haven't heard Jeff Driscoll's name. Very interesting. And they cut some guys that I didn't think they were going to cut. So that may allow them to keep 3 quarterbacks. Okay. So right now, with that information, I'm going to do something that I didn't think I would be doing at this point, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to add an extra name here because you would think we would have heard Jeff Driscoll has been cut already, and we haven't. And because of that, and maybe he'll be one of the final cuts that they try to get onto the practice squad. I still think it's 2, but we haven't heard anything. So because we haven't heard anything, we're going to go with the fact that Jeff Driscoll is still here. So we'll move that to 3. The running back position is exactly what we thought so far. Haven't heard anything about Jeremy McNichols getting cut. They did cut Michael Wiley, which was expected. To me, I think he's going to be a prime candidate for the practice squad. They did cut Chris Rodriguez Jr., which was fully expected. And so these are the 3 running backs. So we'll keep with that theme. The receivers, I'm going to do something that a lot of you said. I didn't think it would happen, but a lot of you said it was going to happen, and that's Jamison Crowder making his team. We have not heard, and I'm going to continue to update my Twitter and make sure that nothing else has happened and that I haven't missed anything. I'm also checking as we speak in real time. I'm checking the Commanders' website to make sure that they haven't released a statement, and they have not. So we'll just continue on with the assumption that there has been no news. And for a player on a day like today, no news is good news. So we're going to add Jamison Crowder because he's the only other guy at the receiver position that has not been cut thus far, right? So we'll change that number to 6, and we'll add him to the mix. All the rest of these guys are still in the mix. We know Terry McLaurin, De'Ami Brown, Olamide Zaccheaus, Luke McCaffrey, all making the roster. Haven't heard anything on Byron Pringle. Didn't expect to. And haven't heard anything on Jamison Crowder. So I'm just going to assume for now, and again, this is subject to change, that these guys are on the roster. All right. So 6 receivers, 3 quarterbacks, 3 running backs. They did cut Cole Turner. I don't think that came as a surprise to anyone. They tried to trade him. I said there is absolutely zero trade value for Cole Turner. He's done nothing in his 2 seasons here in Washington. And I don't see any team saying, hey, we got to have Cole Turner. So initially, and I told you guys this yesterday, I had 3 tight ends. The only reason I came back and put a 4th was because I needed to add another guy, right? Maybe they're going to add another guy at the quarterback position or the receiver position. But I needed to add another guy, so I added in Cole Turner. But I told you, if they needed a roster spot, he'd be the first guy they'd go to, right? He's gone. Offensive line, I'm all over the place here. So I'm still fascinated as to what's going to take place here. But what we do know is Brandon Coleman, Nick Allegretti, Tyler Biadasz, Sam Cosmi, Andrew Wiley, Cornelius Lucas, Michael Dieter, and Chris Paul are all on this roster. What we do know is Julian Good-Jones has been released. All right, he's been cut. We're going to replace Julian Good-Jones with Trent Scott, right? Haven't heard his name. He did not play on Sunday. We were told that if players didn't play and they were healthy, that they probably were safe. So I had to go back and kind of reconfigure in my mind that Trent Scott might be here because I thought he was a guy that was expendable. Ricky Stromberg, former 3rd-round pick a season ago, cut. So he's gone. This trims the number down to 9 on the offensive line. I can't think of any other offensive lineman that they would be keeping. So the number right now looks like it's going to be 9. So we'll that's a fluid situation, right? So when you tally it all up on the offensive side, let's see if the number remains 24. 3, 6, 12, 15, 24. So it's still 24, right? It's just reconfigured in a different way, but it's still 24 on the offensive side of the football. Let's move to the defensive side. Let me check X and stay current. Make sure that nothing else has happened. Let me check the Commanders website as we try to keep you up to speed on the latest as it comes available. Nothing on the Commanders site either. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I got it, guys. I have the official list in front of me. So now we can make the initial adjustments. So the Commanders have placed the following players on injured reserve list: Jordan McGee, Norrell Pollard, the defensive tackle / defensive end undrafted out of Virginia Tech, and defensive tackle Taylor Stallworth. So they're probably going to end the seasons for the other 2, and McGee will be back after the 4th game of the season. So that's what it sounds like. He'll be put on that short term. So that frees up another roster spot there. Washington puts F.A. Obata on the PUP list to start the season. No surprise there. He's coming off of surgery. He wasn't ready. We knew that. Here are the names of the players that have officially been cut by the Commanders today, and then we can fill in all the gaps and all the blanks, right? Wide receiver Kaz Allen, center Ricky Stromberg, cornerback Chigozie Anuzium, tackle Armani Taylor Prelude, safety Kendall Brooks, wide receiver Mitchell Tinsley, wide receiver Martavis Bryant, center Cameron Tom, cornerback Tariq Castro Fields, wide receiver Bryson Tremaine, tackle Braden Daniels, tight end Cole Turner, wide receiver Davion Davis, cornerback Nick Whiteside II, guard Julian Good-Jones, running back Michael Wiley, defensive end Jalen Harris, cornerback AJ Woods, quarterback Sam Hartman, defensive end KJ Henry, defensive end Justin Hollins, defensive end Andre Jones Jr., running back Austin Jones, cornerback Caillou Blue Kelly, quarterback Trace McSorley, defensive tackle Haji Ndubuzizi, tackle David N, cornerback James Pierre, linebacker Anthony Pittman, defensive tackle Benning Pota'ai, safety Sheldrick Redwine, running back Chris Rodriguez Jr., wide receiver Marcus Rosemy Jack Saint, and linebacker Chappelle Russell. So with that said, we pretty much nailed in terms of our guesses on the offense. So let's go back to the offense real quick now that we have the officials. So they are keeping 3 quarterbacks. Jeff Driscoll is on the initial 53-man roster. They are keeping 3 backs. Those are the 3 backs. Jeremy McNichols is on the 53-man roster. They are keeping 6 receivers. And these are the 6 receivers. Byron Pringle and Jamison Crowder did make the team, along with Terry McLaurin, De'Ami Brown, Olamide Zaccheaus, and Luke McCaffrey. Tight ends, they're keeping 3. Wait. Timeout. Let me go back. Did I call the name Colson Yankoff? Did I say that name? Let's go back to that list. Timeout. Let me get a 30-second. Colson Yankoff made the 53-man roster. And wait a minute. I said there wasn't many things that could surprise me, and I knew they liked him, but okay, I'm not gonna trip about it. You know why? Because he just took the place of Cole Turner, right? They liked him more than Cole Turner. They're gonna go for that spot if they need it when they put in these waiver claims. But I'm gonna follow the rules. Colson Yankoff is on the initial 53-man roster. What an upset. Colson Yankoff gives us 4 tight ends. So they essentially did not keep Cole Turner for that, as I call it, the placeholder at tight end, but they kept Colson Yankoff as their placeholder. Good for Colson Yankoff. Undrafted out of UCLA, made the squad initially. Didn't see that coming. So now that number changes, and so we got the offensive line right as well. Those are the 9 guys. So now this number on offense changes from 24 to 25. So let's do that. So now let's go on the defensive side of the football, and let's hack away at what took place here. So on the defensive line, you start with 9. We have our update now, so we can officially talk about this group. Cleveland Farrell, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler Jr., all on the team. KJ Henry has been cut. So you move on from him. Vidarian Mathis, they tried to trade John Ridgeway III, which I'm glad they didn't because, again, I'm not comfortable with the Johnny Newton situation. But, again, being that they tried to trade him, that means he's one of those guys that if they need a roster spot and they put in a waiver claim and they're awarded that player, John Ridgeway III, along with a guy like Colson Yankoff, will probably be among the first guys they go to retrieve that roster spot. So we're down to 8 defensive linemen now, not 9. Linebackers, Frankie Louvu, Bobby Wagner, Jamin Davis, Jordan McGee. Jordan McGee has been placed on IR, short-term IR. So he's going to be removed from the list. That's going to give us 4 linebackers. Okay. So that is done. All right. And Michael Walker rounds out that group. And that sounds about right. Okay. Cornerback. 5 corners. No surprises here. This was, I thought, the easiest position to predict. Emmanuel Forbes Jr., Benjamin St. Juste, Michael Davis, Mike Sainristil, Noah Igbenogany. Those guys were all locks to me on this roster. And then 7 safeties. I said it was a crazy number. And I was told I was crazy for keeping 7. They kept 7. Now, I think they're dispersing these guys amongst different positions, i.e., for instance, Dominique Hampton has been working closely with the linebackers. So he might be considered a linebacker to start the season, right? Or, when they break down their roster, instead of 4 linebackers, they have 5, and Dominique Hampton is included in that group, and that would bring the safety number down to 6, right? So whatever, it doesn't matter. They're still here. They're still on the roster. That's all that matters. The semantics can take place, and you can put them wherever you want. Just like you could put Dante Fowler Jr. with the linebackers, because when they put out their first depth chart, he was listed as a linebacker. It doesn't matter. He's on the roster. That's all that matters. So 7 safeties: Jeremy Chin, Quan Martin, Percy Butler, Derek Forrest, Jeremy Reeves, Dominique Hampton, and Tyler Owens. As I had mentioned earlier, hold on. Timeout. I didn't see Javonte John Baptiste's name on this list. Let me go back because I didn't think he was going to make the roster. Javonte John Baptiste has made the initial 53-man roster. Let's add him in to the mix. Wow. So another unlikely guy. Now, he was a draft pick, and I told you I thought they would keep most of their draft picks. I did not think he would be kept, but looks like they kept Javonte John Baptiste. So let's put him on this list now as well. Boy, he's got a long name. We're gonna have to move some things around here to get him to fit into this mix. What will probably be more efficient for us is if we move Dante Fowler Jr. to the linebacker position, just for the sake of this argument. And put Javonte, John, Baptiste. I think I'm missing an A somewhere in here. Yeah. I think we're just going to leave it that way. So we're going to add in a fifth linebacker now. And just call that Dante Fowler Jr. so that everything fits and I don't have to play around with the configuration of everything. So now let's tally it up. So, wow, that's another surprise for me. Javonte John Baptiste, who I know they liked, but again, thought they could get him onto the practice squad. And again, I think he's another placeholder. Just like I thought KJ Henry could potentially be a placeholder, Javonte John Baptiste could be a placeholder. If they find something better, he could be gone. But again, generally, when you get a new regime coming in, the thing that they want to do is they want to hold on to their draft picks. So I'm not super surprised, but I am a bit surprised. I will not lie to you on that. So 9 defensive linemen, 5 linebackers, that's 14, 5 corners, that puts you up to 19, and then that's 26. That's the number. And so we hit the numbers, right? 24 on offense, 26 on defense. Wait, timeout. We have 25 on offense, don't we? Yeah. So something's off here. Something's off. Let's count them up one more time. 3, 6, 12, 16, 25. How many offensive linemen? I think do we have 9? We should have 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we got 9. Colson Yankoff. I'm checking this list like I'm Santa Claus, checking it twice. Let me make sure that I didn't omit anybody here. Yeah, he's not on the list. Colson Yankoff is not on the list. And he's not on any of the other lists. And neither is Javonte John Baptiste. So this thing is not the math ain't mathing right now. So it's definitely 25 on this side. Let me see. Maybe the count was off on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's where we got the mistake. That's where the number. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're good. All right. Because the math won't math in at first. I was like, wait a minute. What's going on here? I've got to change this to 8. Now we're cooking. Now we should be square with 24 on offense, 26 on defense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 5, 13, 18, 25. There we go. 25, 25, and 3. Let's change that number to 25. And you got your 3 specialists. No surprises here. Tressway, Cade York, Tyler Ott. You got your 3 specialists. That gives you 53. So let's go over this thing quickly once more. So this is the initial 53-man roster for the Commanders. Couple of surprises here. Jaden Daniels, Marcus Mariota, Jeff Driscoll are your 3 quarterbacks. Bit of a surprise for me. Didn't expect him to keep 3. I like Jeff Driscoll. Thought he played really well. And I made the statement that he is very valuable in the sense that if you cut him, a team like Philadelphia, for instance, the Eagles don't have a good backup situation. They could use a Jeff Driscoll. Do you want to expose him to the rest of the league? Because if something happens to either of your starter or your backup, you need a guy you can put in the game. You can't put Sam Hartman, who will probably end up on our practice squad. You can't put him in the game. He's not ready to play in an NFL game. So you need an experienced guy, and I think Jeff Driscoll gives them that. And we know Marcus Mariota has been injury prone his entire career. He dealt with an injury. He barely played in the preseason. So I think holding on to Jeff Driscoll makes a ton of sense. Brian Robinson Jr., Austin Eckler, Jeremy McNichols are your 3 running backs. Terry McLaurin, De'Ami Brown, Olamide Zaccheaus, Luke McCaffrey, Byron Pringle, and Jamison Crowder are your 6 wide receivers. Zach Ertz, John Bates, Ben Sinnott, and Colson Yankoff. What an upset. Colson Yankoff makes this roster as an undrafted rookie. 9 offensive linemen: Brandon Coleman, Nick Allegretti, Tyler Biadasz, Sam Cosmi, Andrew Wiley, Cornelius Lucas, Trent Scott, Michael Dieter, and Chris Paul. Round out the offense, 25 on that side of the football. Go to the defensive side. 8 defensive linemen: Cleveland Farrell, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Dorrance Armstrong Jr. are your starters. Javonte, John Baptiste, Fadarian Mathis, John Ridgeway, and Johnny Newton are your backups there for 8 on the defensive line. At the linebacker position, Frankie Louvu, Bobby Wagner, Jamin Davis, Michael Walker, and Dante Fowler Jr. make up the 5 linebackers currently on this roster. Cornerback 5 there: Emmanuel Forbes Jr., Benjamin St. Juste, Michael Davis, Mike Sainristil, and Noah Igbenogany. And safety 7: Jeremy Chin, Quan Martin, Percy Butler, Derek Forrest, Jeremy Reeves, Dominique Hampton, and Tyler Owens. And again, Hampton may be considered a linebacker. Does not matter. That's semantics. He's on the roster, and that gives you a total of 25 on the defense. And then the 3 specialists are punter Tress Way, place kicker Cade York, who they just traded for, and long snapper Tyler Ott. So there we have it. Initial 53-man roster for the Commanders. Wow. So with that said, I've got a question for you guys. And I think I can even make an alteration to this thing because I'll throw this one out there first. And then I got another one. So there's the poll question. Most surprising cut today so far was Ricky Stromberg, KJ Henry, wide receiver Martavis Bryant, or running back Michael Wiley. Which one of these guys surprised you the most getting cut today? I think I know who you're going to pick, but I am not going to assume. I'm going to let you guys vote, and we're going to see how that goes. I got another poll question for you too that I am going to throw out there after we finally put this thing together. All right. So we're going to talk about that. So go ahead and vote and tell me who you think the most surprising cut was today. All right. Thus far. And again, remember, this is a very fluid situation. This is subject to change, right? So let me go ahead and put that out there so you guys can vote on that. And while you guys are voting, I got another question for y'all that I'm going to throw up here shortly. And let's see. All right. That's one. That's 2. And let's see. I think a lot of y'all thought he would make this team. So I don't think it's that one. But I'm going to put him up there anyway because I personally didn't expect him to make this team. And then Scott. All right. And I'm going to throw another poll up here too. Make this poll after you guys finish voting. So I thought it would be overwhelmingly KJ Henry. I knew it. I think he surprised me because I thought he played well to finish up the preseason, and I thought he showed well enough to be on the roster. But I'm not a massive KJ Henry fan. He's never wowed me, and I told people he's a Jag. And people got mad at me, and I said, that's fine. You can be upset, but I don't see him as a difference maker. I said he was a placeholder on this roster, and if F.A. Obada, and I kept saying this, if F.A. Obada were healthy, KJ Henry would be nowhere near this roster. However, I didn't think they would keep Javonte John Baptiste over him. But again, this is the conversation we've been having all offseason long. And I've been telling y'all, if all things are equal, and I said this a million times, and it comes down to one of their guys versus one of the guys that were there that preceded them, they're going to take their guy, right? Javonte John Baptiste, they drafted him over KJ Henry. They're taking their guy. That's what it all boiled down to, essentially. So that's what this is, essentially. All right, so let's go ahead and unpin that one. You guys pretty much spoke, and it's definitely and let's post this one up here. Yeah, man, you guys are on it. Okay, you guys are all over it. The most surprising add to this roster was Colson Yankoff. What an upset. I said the only thing that could surprise me is if they cut Jamin Davis. I didn't see it happening. I officially color me surprised. Okay. Like if there were a picture of me in a coloring book, I'd be like, I'm surprised. Colson Yankoff? What? I like him. I knew they liked him. But to put him on the roster, but again, I think, again, they're placeholders that they've inserted, that they've baked into the roster. 3 or 4 spots where they say, you know what? If we put in waiver claims, these are guys that we don't mind having to then cut and put on the practice squad. Colson Yankoff is one of those guys. Clearly, he's one of those guys that they baked into the roster, right? John Baptiste feels like another guy that they baked into the roster, right? And they said to themselves, if we need a spot, we can go here and go get it, right? So anyway, I digress. Wow, Colson Yankoff. What a surprise that was. Anyway, that's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T, here on this Washington Commanders 53-man roster, initial 53-man roster a video. I'm just telling you right now, don't be surprised if you see some more things come out. Remember, tomorrow is another big day. 12 o'clock noon, the NFL starts the waiver process. Teams are putting in their waiver claims as we speak, right? Tomorrow, they'll sort through all of that at noon, and we'll see what players. Remember how this rule works. Any player that's been in the league has accrued 4 years of service or more is termed an NFL veteran. If you're an NFL veteran, you do not have to go through the waiver process. So, for instance, if a team, and I'll just throw out a random name, let's say Stephon Gilmore, who just signed with, I think it was the Falcons, I believe. Let's say he gets cut. He's not going to, but just for the sake of this argument, he gets cut. He's a veteran. He does not go through the waiver process. He's automatically a free agent and able to sign with whatever team he likes. Now, conversely, if you have not accrued 4 years or more, you're not termed a veteran in the league. Thus, you are subject to the waiver process. You go through waivers. Each team has an opportunity to put in a waiver claim. If no team puts a waiver claim in on you, you are then officially made a free agent. So a lot of these players that are on rookie contracts are the ones that you will be looking at and seeing on the waiver wire, and you'll see what happens with these players. And we'll see what Washington does and see. I'm interested. I don't know how many of these guys they'll be awarded, and how many of these guys I want to see who they put waiver claims in, even if they don't get them. The only team that could stop them from getting these players is Carolina. But I'm interested to see how many waiver claims they put in and whom do they put these claims in for. So I digress, but we'll see what happens. Looking forward to it. Wow. What a surprise. Colson Yankoff on this roster, KJ Henry getting cut. I like it. I'm going to be honest with you. I like it a lot. And I'll explain that on my show later on tonight, why I like the things that they've done. But that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on this exclusive Bleacher Report Commanders 53-man roster reaction. The Commanders have made it official. They're 53 men that they're going to initially roll into the 2024 season with. Again, this list is subject to change, and we'll see changes as early as tomorrow, right? Now, the next interesting piece of information is what are they going to do on the practice squad? That still will be determined after the waiver process. You got to see these young guys like Sam Hartman and Michael Wiley pass through waivers first. And if that process goes in the favor of the Commanders, no one puts in a claim on those players, then you are then free to add them to the practice squad. We're going to talk about that tonight on the show. So if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Louie T Network on YouTube for more great content. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. We will be live tonight talking about this 53-man roster and the 16 guys that they may look to add to the practice squad when the dust settles and the smoke clears. But until then, I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Madness is ensued. I'll see you guys next time.